Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargav, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about India's biggest seizure of heroin, in which the officials found more than 21,000 crore rupees worth of the highly addictive opioid. We also talk about why India is facing an acute fuel shortage right now. But first, we talk about the Lakhimpur Kheri violence. As we discussed yesterday on the podcast, 8 people were killed on Sunday in the Lakhimpur Kheri district of Uttar Pradesh. 4 of them were protesting farmers who died after being hit and mowed down by a convoy of cars, one of which was owned by Union Minister and BJP leader Ajay Mishra. The other 4 people had died in clashes that took place soon after. These 4 included 2 local BJP leaders, a journalist, and a driver who was employed by Mishra's son. The incident has garnered national attention, and in light of it, protests have taken place across the country. A major development in the matter also took place yesterday, when a video of the incident went viral. The video led things to become more tense and had people demanding that strict action should be taken against the alleged culprits. Yesterday, Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi, who had been detained while on her way to meet the kin of the deceased, had also shared the video online while addressing the Prime Minister. In this segment, Indian Express's Asad Rahman, who has been reporting on the story from Lakhimpur Kheri, joins us on a call to talk about the latest developments in the matter. Asad, yesterday the video of the Lakhimpur Kheri incident went viral. This video plays in slow motion. Could you describe what one can see in it?
So, in the 30-second video that's been shared widely on social media and by several opposition leaders, you can see that there are at least 3 cars that are speeding, and they run over a bunch of protesters who are seen marching in the video with black flags in their hands. Suddenly, out of nowhere, this one vehicle comes and drives over the farmers, the protesters. And then another vehicle is seen in the video, which again drives over the protesting farmers who are mostly seen holding black flags. And the video is a very disturbing one, which shows how the incident actually happened. And it has verified all the allegations that were being made by the farmers who were protesting there on the site. And there was consistency in the narrative that was being given by the protesting farmers who were alleging that Union Minister Ajay Mishra's son ran over them in the 3 SUVs. And this video has actually, in a way, verified those allegations. And on Tuesday afternoon, when we visited the district hospital where 2 injured persons were undergoing treatment, Shamsher Singh and Baljinder Singh, we showed the viral video to both of them, and both of them confirmed that this video is genuine and that it is a video of the incident that happened on Sunday, which resulted in the death of 4 protesting farmers and 4 others in the subsequent violence that broke out after the cars allegedly ran over the farmers who were protesting.
And how has this video sort of changed the way things are now being discussed about the incident?
So even on Sunday night, when we had visited Tikunya, where the incident happened, there was evident and visible anger among the farmers who were sitting there, that this is cold-blooded murder and that they have been killed by a minister's son with impunity. And that anger has just increased multiple fold after this video has come out, because till now, there was no evidence as such to prove the allegations, but this video has made it accessible to people across the country to see what had happened on Sunday and why the farmers were so angry. So the mood on the ground, the anger on the ground, the anger among the farmers and the farmer leaders has increased after the video. Let's see what happens in the coming days, but I think the video has played a very big role in this incident.
Also, Priyanka Gandhi and other opposition leaders on Monday had been trying to meet the kin of the deceased, but they had been detained by the UP police. What is the situation now, and what further action has the administration taken against them?
Since this incident happened, opposition leaders from different parties, including Bahujan Samajwadi Party, Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, Azad Samaj Party, and other UP parties, had announced that their senior leaders, including Akhilesh Yadav, Priyanka Gandhi, Sanjay Singh of Aam Aadmi Party, are going to Lakhimpur to meet the farmers' kin who have died. And the UP government made it very clear that they are not going to allow anyone to go to Lakhimpur Kheri, because they said that Section 144 is in place in Lakhimpur Kheri and that nobody is be allowed to travel to the district. However, the government did allow BKU leader Rakesh Tikait and Bhim Army Chief Chandrasekhar to visit Lakhimpur Kheri. So on Tuesday, Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and at least 10 others were arrested. And the police have said that they've been arrested in order to prevent the commission of a cognizable offense. Priyanka Gandhi has also uploaded a video on social media where she has addressed Prime Minister Narendra Modi. While addressing the PM, she has shown this video that has gone viral on social media, where the SUVs can be seen crushing the farmers. And she has asked the Prime Minister if he has seen this video and if he can address the issue.
मोदी जी नमस्कार। मैंने सुना है कि आज आज़ादी का अमृत उत्सव मनाने के लिए आप लखनऊ आ रहे हैं। मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि आपने ये वीडियो देखा है? आपके सरकार के एक मंत्री के बेटे को किसानों को अपनी गाड़ी के नीचे कुचलते हुए दिखाता है। इस वीडियो को देखिए और इस देश को बताइए कि इस मंत्री को बर्खास्त क्यों नहीं किया गया है।
Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Lucknow today, and he had come to visit Lucknow for an event. So this is what has happened with regard to politicians trying to meet the farmers' kin who have not been allowed, and Priyanka has been booked and has been arrested as per police in order to prevent the commission of a cognizable offense.
Yeah, and I just want to add that we are recording this on Tuesday evening, and Priyanka Gandhi has said that her confinement is illegal and that completely illegal physical force was used on her and her colleagues at the time of her arrest. She also said that she hasn't been produced in front of a magistrate or a judicial officer, nor has she been allowed to meet her legal counsel. And besides this, on Tuesday, we also heard about the incident from many other Congress leaders. Chhattisgarh CM Bhupesh Baghel was reportedly stopped at the Lucknow airport. Rajasthan CM Ashok Gehlot said that democracy is under threat. And Punjab CM Charanjit Singh Channi stated that the Lakhimpur Kheri incident reminded him of the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. Now, Asad, you have been traveling in the region and speaking to farmers and people there. What are the kind of things that they have been telling you, and what are they demanding now?
So their demands initially were that the Minister of State for Home, Mr. Ajay Mishra, must be sacked from the ministry, and that his son must be arrested. And they've also demanding a government job and a compensation to all the deceased and injured farmers. However, when Rakesh Tikait visited the Kunya area in Lakhimpur Kheri on Monday, conversation was held between him and senior officials of the state government, and an agreement was reached, and the government announced that a judicial panel is going to investigate the whole incident, and that rupees 45 lakh as compensation will be given to the deceased farmers' families, and rupees 10 lakh will be given to the farmers who have sustained injuries. So this is how an agreement was reached yesterday, and Rakesh Tikait announced that for now, all the farmers can go back, like at least 10,000 farmers had gathered in Tikunya in Lakhimpur Kheri where the incident happened on Monday, and they had certain demands. But after Rakesh Tikait made these announcements, the farmers went back and the site was emptied. They are angry over the alleged murders, and they are saying that they had gathered at Tikunya on Sunday just to hold a peaceful protest and show black flags to Deputy Chief Minister Keshav Prasad Maurya while he was on his way to the Minister of State for Home in the Union Ministry, Ajay Mishra's village, which is around 3 kilometers from the spot where the incident happened.
And the other thing that is happening right now is that there is a disquiet in the BJP because of this incident, especially considering that UP elections will be taking place in a few months. And Lakhimpur Kheri is the district where BJP incidentally had won all 8 seats in the 2017 state elections. Plus, the district is also home to the largest Sikh population in the state. And they have been especially angry about the incident. So what have they and the farmers been telling you about it?
So they were saying that this is the first time that protesting farmers who are holding a peaceful protest have been treated like this. And general mood was a lot of anger. And that sort of anger has still not gone away. And on Tuesday, families of the deceased farmers refused to cremate their bodies, saying that the postmortem report had been fudged and it was not correct and it was not done in an impartial manner. And the administration and officials have also announced that one of the farmers who had died, who allegedly received a gunshot injury, as per farmers, will undergo a re-examination and the postmortem examination will be done again. So only after the assurance was made, the other 3 bodies were cremated on Tuesday amid heavy police force deployment and amid a lot of farmers gathering at the houses of the deceased farmers.
And next we talk about India's biggest heroin seizure. Last month, 2 shipping containers arrived at the Mundra port in Gujarat. The Mundra port, which is run by the Adani Group, is one of the largest commercial ports in the country. Officials at the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence had got a tip-off about these 2 containers that had arrived there. And upon investigating them, they found around 3,000 kilograms of heroin in it. This was the single biggest haul of heroin to be busted in India. Together, it was worth 21,000 crore rupees. In this segment, Indian Express's Gopal Kateshia joins us on a call from Rajkot to talk about this case. Gopal, the Indian authorities recently seized more than 3,000 kilograms of heroin from the Mundra port in Gujarat, India's biggest heroin haul. How does this consignment compare to previous ones?
Well, this is indeed huge. Previously, Indian authorities used to intercept and seize heroin or narcotic drugs, which would be, weighing in kilograms. But this is in tons. This is 3 tons. So to put things in perspective, in April this year, Indian Coast Guard intercepted heroin haul of around 200 kilograms. That was again in Kutch. And then DRI in June-July this year intercepted 300 kilograms of heroin from Nhava Sheva port in Mumbai. But this is 3,000 kilograms packed in 2 containers. So this is indeed big. And I think this is one of the biggest in the worldwide.
And what do authorities know about where this consignment came from?
So, according to investigations conducted by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, this consignment originated from Afghanistan. It was transported to Iran, and from the Bandar Abbas port of Iran, it was shipped to Mundra port, and it is there in Mundra that the DRI intercepted it. So basically, this cargo came from Afghanistan.
And this is not the first time that we have seen such consignments coming from Afghanistan, right?
Well, Afghanistan is infamous for poppy cultivation, and heroin is a derivative of poppy. So many cargoes have Afghanistan origin. So this is not certainly the first drug haul which originated from Afghanistan.
And who all are the accused from India in this case, and what action have the authorities taken against them?
So initially, the DRI, that is Director of Revenue Intelligence, detained a couple from Chennai, Machauram Sudhakar, and his wife Govinda Raju Durgapurna Vaishali. The cargo was imported by Arshi Trading Company, which is a proprietorship firm registered in the name of Vaishali. Vaishali is from Andhra Pradesh, but this couple is presently living in Chennai, in Kolpakkam area. So the DRI raided their house on September 15 and eventually arrested them on September 17. And then, of course, DRI took them into custody and got them 11 days remand. Subsequently, another resident of Coimbatore named Rajkumar P was arrested. And the Special Narcotics Court in Bhuj sent this Rajkumar P to DRI custody on September 26. So these 3 persons have been arrested in this connection. All 3 of them are presently in judicial custody.
And you mentioned the Chennai couple, and one thing that has been talked about a lot is that this was a very ordinary couple. So how did they get involved in this matter?
So the Indian Express investigation have revealed that this Sudhakar, he was working with various firms earlier, but he lost his job during the COVID pandemic and he ventured into businesses, but they failed. So eventually he got a firm registered in his wife's name and started import-export business. He had imported one consignment in June as well. And his neighbors in Chennai told the Indian Express that they were very ordinary kind of couple, or they were God-fearing, with typical Brahmin couple. And no one had any inkling that, could be involved in such kind of activity. So they are basically very surprised that these people could be doing this kind of activity.
Also, considering that we know that drugs from Afghanistan have reached India in the past, what challenges do authorities face in trying to stop this from happening?
International drug cartels do operate. So the problem is going to be there, but what the authorities can do is to contain it. And the problem basically is the political instability in Afghanistan, firstly. And now in August, the Taliban took over the country again. And it is suspected that drug trafficking is one of their main sources of revenue. Heroin being very highly valued recreational drug, which has huge markets in Europe and America. And there have been reports that these drug consignment originating from Afghanistan are routed through India and sometimes Sri Lanka. So the Indian authorities have to remain on their toes that India is not used as a transit destination or the ultimate destination. So the political instability in Afghanistan or in that region, that is a major reason why this drug business continues. And the NDPS court in Bhuj specifically wanted the DRI as to what did they propose to do about tracing the real accused in Afghanistan. This consignment, which was officially declared as containing semi-processed stone, was sent by a firm known as Hassan Hussain Limited of Afghanistan, run by one Mr. Hassan Hussain. So the Bhuj NDPS court wanted to know how the DRI will track this person and will bring him to book. But now the problem is that after the Taliban took over on August 15, the Indian mission wound up from there. And the Indian government does not have any official diplomatic relationship with the new dispensation there. So in such a circumstances, it's very difficult for, this kind of cases and to seek cooperation of the foreign government in this kind of investigation. So there is a lot of problem there.
And Gopal, this matter was heard in the NDPS court, that is the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropics Substance Court in Bhuj. What have we heard the court say regarding the matter?
So I attended one of the hearings on September 30th. And during the hearing, the NDPS court in Bhuj came down very heavily on DRI because the court had earlier on September 26 directed DRI to probe if Mundra port, which is run by Adani Group, and where the cargo landed. The court wanted to know if the Adani Group gained financially or anything by virtue of the cargo landing there. And on September 26th, the court sought an update from the DRI as to what they were doing about investigating Adani Port's alleged role. So the DRI informed the court that they were recording statements and also said that Adani is seeking a legal opinion. The court apparently was not satisfied. They said that nobody is above the law. The amount of drug that has been seized, more than 3 tons, 3,000 kilograms, can take an entire generation down. This is court's observation. So they said that it's a very serious matter. You do whatever it takes, ensure that the people involved in it are brought to book. And the case is investigated 360 degrees. You don't just be concerned or keep your probe limited to these 2 persons, Vaishali and Sudhakar, the Chennai couple. So court wanted DRI to probe the role of the Adani Group as well.
And in the end, we talk about India's fuel shortage. Right now, India's coal-fired stations are facing an unprecedented fuel shortage, a crisis that Union Minister R.K. Singh said was way beyond the normal post-monsoon supply crunch. This is especially concerning because in India, coal-fired power stations account for nearly 70% of the electricity generation. In this segment, Indian Express's Karunjit Singh joins us to talk about this crisis. Karunjit, to start off, could you talk about why India is facing a major fuel crisis right now?
So there are a number of reasons why our thermal power plants are facing quite a severe fuel shortage right now. The biggest reason is the fact that our power demand has gone up dramatically. So from a power demand of 106 billion units in August 2019, and we use 2019 because that wasn't affected by the pandemic, it's gone up to 124 billion units in August 2021. So it's quite a significant increase in power demand as a result of a faster than expected recovery post the pandemic. Besides this, what we've also seen is that the coal production has been affected by the monsoons. So what we generally see is coal production does tend to come down due to the monsoon, but it has been slightly worse this year with rains, particularly in coal mine areas in September. Besides this, even though our thermal power plants do not use very much imported coal, not very many of our plants use imported coal, there has been a sharp increase in international prices for coal. So a lot of that capacity is not currently being used because it's just not financially viable. And the fact that prior to the monsoon in April, June, there wasn't an adequate buildup of coal stocks, which thermal power plants tend to do before the monsoon.
And what happens if the fuel shortage continues and the overall demand doesn't come down? What are the major concerns here?
So the key concern that we would have would be that if the demand persists at a high level and if we're not able to shore up our supplies. So to give you a quick estimate of the kind of stock we're looking at, as on October 3rd, about 17 of our 135 plants which are monitored daily with a generation capacity of about 21,000 megawatts have 0 days of stock. And another 40 plants with a capacity of about 52,500 megawatts have stock of less than 3 days. So in this situation, if we are not able to get enough stock to our thermal power plants, which are acting as the base load for a majority of our power demand, we could actually see load shedding. But the government has said that thus far there has not been any load shedding due to the shortage of coal. But the minister has said that it could be a touch and go scenario for the next 4 to 6 months where we are uncomfortable still about our coal stocks at our thermal power plants.
And what kind of measures is the government taking right now to deal with this crisis?
So the government has taken a number of steps to basically prioritize coal for thermal power plants that are low on coal. One of the steps they've taken is to try and press thermal power plants that have their own captive coal mines to enhance production from their mines so that more of their demand can be met by the coal that they themselves are producing. Besides this, they've also tried to prioritize coal for plants which have lower stocks. Ordinarily, the kind of recommended level of stock that thermal power plants are expected to keep is about 14 days. But the government has brought that down somewhat so that plants with very low levels of stock can be prioritized instead of plants with, let's say, 10 days of stock. That's one step that they've taken. Another step is that basically the coal ministry, the power ministry and the rail ministry are consistently looking at ensuring that the coal supplies reach thermal plants quickly. And the government is also working to bring some more captive coal mines on stream. These are captive coal mines where they have all the requisite clearances, but they're just waiting on some operational things like finalizing mining development operator. So they're trying to bring that on stream quickly as well.
Okay, so right now, obviously, we are just talking about India, but have other countries faced similar problems post-lockdowns and when their economies have opened up?
So yeah, in fact, there has been an increase in the demand and therefore the price of fuels across the board, whether it's Brent crude, crude oil, natural gas or coal. China's actually even seen some power cuts for factories for a number of states because the coal supply has come short, and also they're working on achieving some lower levels of carbon emissions. We're also seeing historic highs of natural gas prices in Europe, and crude oil has surpassed $80 a barrel, which is about a 3-year high. So the sharp pickup in demand post the pandemic, the global demand for fuel has been so high that the supply chain has not been able to meet it. Similarly, in the case of trade also, that there's a lack of containers, lack of shipping capacity, not only for goods but also for fuel.
You were listening to Three Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.